Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and welcome to the very first SPARC video. I am hoping with this new series to share with you a sketch card, craft with some printables, get a little bit artsy, follow one of my own recipe cards, and case a card, meaning copy and share, or perhaps clean and simple. We'll take it as it comes, which one I do. But the idea behind this series is to give you some inspiration that might spark your own creativity. And this series, I think, will be much more beginner card maker friendly. So here are the cards I'll be making today. Let's make these. Okay, we're gonna start with a sketch card. I love following sketches because if I'm in a little bit of a creative rut, it really helps to just get my hands moving and start cutting down some paper. And a lot of times at some point that will be enough for my creativity to kick in, and maybe I will either finish the card just as the sketch is shown, or maybe my creativity takes it into a different place, and then I make my own deviations from the sketch. Today, the sketch that I'm following is from Kendra's Card Challenge number 20. It's actually sketch number 3. And I've already cut everything down. This is from the Not Too Shabby December subscription box. It has 2 paper pads in it. The one that I'm crafting with is Cross My Heart. And I picked 2 patterns that I think will complement one another. This one is kind of more open and airy because it's got that white background, and it's got the I've complemented it with the faux glitter red cardstock and bordered everything with a faux glitter purple cardstock as well. Now, because I'm putting these pieces on top of white cardstock and this snowflake pattern has white in the background, I decided I really want to clearly define the edges of this square. So I'm just putting some Love from Lizzie's peel off stickers, which you can see I'm a little bit frugal with my stickers. I keep even the smallest little bits. And I'm not even stretching the peel off all the way into that 4th corner because I know I'm going to collage up some of the ephemera in the center there, so I'm just hoping I'll be able to cover up that section. And that way I don't have to cut into a new piece. But these peel-offs are a really great way to just clean up the edges of your little blocks here without having to alter or change the dimension of this square. So I don't have to cut another a bit of solid color cardstock to mat behind it or have to trim this down any. It's just a nice little border that is pretty immediate. And the peel-offs that I love working with are the pinstripe ones, and they come in actually 3 different widths. So you can choose, how thick or thin of a border you want to add. If you want to use this little hack for having a little bit of a frame around your panels. So once I have that, I like to just kind of position everything where it's going to be so that I get a sense for the spacing and how to get this so that it's got equal spacing around all of the edges. So doing a little bit of a dry fit really helps with that. And I'm going to glue everything down flat, and then when I collage up my ephemera, I can add a little bit of low profile foam to give it a little bit of dimension. As I mentioned, sketches are a really great way to start crafting, especially if you're in a little bit of a creative block. And there are so many places to get free sketch ideas. So I'm hoping with this new SPARC series, I'll be able to share with you a lot of the sources where I go when I'm looking for sketches, and hopefully you'll share some sketch resources with me in the comments below as well. So if you have a favorite sketch challenge or source where you like to get your sketches from, do drop them in the comments below. I would love to try some of them out if I've never heard of them before. And I know a lot of the ones that I tend to follow are pretty well known, like Kendra's Card Challenge by Kendra, Cards of Kendra, and Sheetload of Cards by Call Me Crafty Al. Those are the two that I think I turn to quite often. So one of the things that I noticed with this month's box of the month is that one of the stamp sets, so you get 2 stamp sets in the box of the month, and one of them is a 6x6, the other one is a 6x8 stamp set. In the 6x6 stamp set, you're going to actually find 4 sentiments that I don't think coincidentally, I think Jamie probably did this very intentionally because those fit perfectly Teresa's One and Done die, and as well my new Universal Sentiments Universal die set will also cut those out. And if you caught any of my various promotional videos for the Universal Sentiments, you may also know that the Easy Wonder die number 1 add-on die has 2 banners in that die set, and those are the exact same size as the Universal Sentiments die, which means you could use those to cut out these sentiments as well. And I actually do that on my next card, in fact. So as I mentioned, this new SPARC series is the first, and I'm hoping to continue and do more of them in 2026. I'm still going to do my flip of the Spellbinders Club kits, but I'm hoping to do more SPARC videos for the Not Too Shabby subscription box and for the Hero Arts monthly subscription as well. And one of the reasons is because I really feel like a lot of the times my interactive and my pop-up card in my flip series can be a little bit involved, maybe a smidge more advanced for card makers, and I want to have a series that's a little bit more beginner card maker friendly. And I think this SPARC series should hopefully fit that bill, because sketches I feel are really fun whether you're a beginner or you're an advanced card maker, but they are very beginner friendly. You can definitely take a sketch into something more interactive, something more pop-up, but at its core, I think it's just really beautiful mats and layers and a beautiful layout, which I think can be as simple or as complex as you'd like it, which I think helps to make it a little bit more approachable and friendly if you are just starting out in your card making journey. And so that was my sketch card. Next up, I am going to craft with some printables. Lots of different sources to get printables as well, some for free, some for not too much money. If you've been following me, then you know I've been putting out easy postage printables, again, for free and for not a lot of money on my website. But I just actually started with my very first easy card making collection kit, which is completely digital. It's actually designed to coordinate with Easy Wonder die number 1 and its add-on, but you don't have to have that die to craft with it. In the collection, you're going to find an easy guide, again, designed for Easy Wonder die number 1. You're going to find some additional gorgeous pattern paper and as well some patterns and solids. So I've used some of the patterns and solids on this card as well as some of the pattern that is designed to go with or be cut by the Easy Wonder die number 1. And instead of using the digital images and the digital sentiments included in the kit, I'm going to use some ephemera from the Not Too Shabby box of the month. Now, this bit of ephemera actually coordinates with the second paper pad, which is called Winter Love. And again, I used a sentiment that is from the 6x6 stamp set called All the Snuggles, and the banner die that is part of Easy Wonder die number 1 add-on fits perfectly to cut that out. If you have the universal sentiments universal die, then you can get mats and layers for your sentiments, and that's what I've pulled out today. So for this card, I'm going to use the wavy border, which I thought would be a lot of fun, and it's just gives you that perfect frame all the way around your sentiment. One of the things that I really like about working with printables is, one, it's immediate. Usually when you buy it, you have the link to download it almost immediately emailed to you. So you can download it and start crafting with it right away. The next thing that I really like about printables is that you can just print what you want when you want it. And so if there are patterns that you absolutely love in a particular collection, you can print that as many times as you'd like. If there's some patterns that maybe you don't like quite as much, then you don't have to use it, and it's not taking up space in, physical space in your craft room, because you don't have to choose to print it out if you don't want. So I do like that you can be more selective about what you use out of a digital card making kit. And I do love that you have an endless supply. So as long as you have a printer, paper, and ink, you can print out as many times as you'd like the printables or the digital printables that you download. And there are a lot of places that you can get various different digital card making kits. Many craft companies also sell digis, digital stamps. Etsy has a lot of them as well. And if you have something like a subscription to Creative Fabrica, you can get patterns there also, and you can get lots of images there. So what I've done is just curated a lot of things, put my own little twist on them, and packaged it together so that there's this very first one's called Hedgehog Hugs, and I'm really excited to craft with it. I did create it to go in part or work well with this month's Not Too Shabby box of the month, and I'm hoping to do more of that in the future as well. So that wraps up my printable card. Next up is my artsy card. So why have I included an artsy card in this SPARC series? The main reason is because I feel like I'm a sucker for buying media supplies. I've never met a media supply that I haven't wanted. And so I don't fancy myself an artist, and I don't really use a lot of the things that I purchase very often. And I feel like I'm not getting the most out of them. And so I wanted to include this as part of this series so that it really forces me to bring out all of those various different texture pastes, coloring media supplies, and whatnot, and actually use them, get some joy out of them. And a lot of them I've maybe used the one time and haven't touched again, or I hope once I start bringing out some of those Nouveau mousses, I hope they haven't dried out. That's part of my fear as well. So I hope that if you have a lot of media supplies, that this encourages you to maybe get a little bit artsy and have some fun with them. What I've done here is I took, this is the 6x8 stamp set that you're looking at on screen, and I took one of the stamped images and I stamped it initially onto some, it's actually a removable label sheet from Avery, and I actually fussy cut that image out because I want a mask, but what I'm masking off isn't the image. I'm actually masking outside the surrounding area, outside the image. What I thought would be kind of a neat idea is to color her in with these are really cool. I love these when I purchased them, and I don't think I've used it since, but I got them when I was doing a first look at this new class about color mixing that is available at Zali. And I absolutely love how well these blend. They are called Carb Othello by Stabilo, and it's a chalk pastel coloring pencil. So if you think chalk pastel, maybe one of the things that you think of first are pan pastels. I like these because they're actually in the form factor of a color pencil, so you can kind of color it in, lay down, the media where you want. And then I'm using a little sponge tool. It's kind of like an eye makeup sponge, and it just helps to blend the colors together and really burnishes it into this. I'm actually using a watercolor cardstock because I couldn't find my mixed media paper. That's the other thing I have a lot of. I have a ton of watercolor paper. I have a ton of different types of watercolor paper, different types of mixed media papers, and so not only do I have a lot of media supplies, I have a lot of different substrates to color onto, and so I want to put those to good use as well. So all I did was, if you're not a fan of coloring, this might be like a fun, very artsy, abstract way of coloring. I just did a nice little ombre, and I just was sure to mask off the surrounding area so I don't have to worry too much about staying inside the lines. But I wanted to, well, when I think artsy, I always think of splattering. So I found two these are the Tim Holtz watercolors that are pretty close, actually. I was surprised. They're pretty close in color to my chalk pastels. And because they are water soluble, I just scribbled some onto my palette, which had a little bit of a grip to it, and spritz it with water and just gave it a nice little splatter of pink and purple. I did choose these two colors very intentionally to go with the Cross My Heart paper pad. And what I'm going to do is actually take this pattern, but I really only want it for some very specific colors. So I'm using the pink. I'm going to use 3 strips out of this. The purple, the red, and the pink. I'm not even really measuring how wide of a strip I'm cutting down. I just want these to be really thin strips that I can put across the bottom. It just helps to really anchor the stamped image so that she doesn't look like she's just floating. And I am also going to try to, again, do something a little bit artsy. I want to stagger these a little bit. My natural inclination is just to go straight across with all 3 and take it from edge to edge. But where I can, I want to try to embrace things that are a little bit imperfect, that maybe aren't lined up 100% straight, things like that. That's what I always think of when I think artsy. And so I put a little bit of double-sided adhesive tape behind this so that all 3 of them I can just position. And then I'll just go ahead and stick that onto my card. Now, it's almost a clean and simple card, because there's quite a lot of white space. There's splatter all over it, but there is quite a lot of white space. So I do want to try to get this straight. As artsy as I want to be, I think sometimes when you have a very clean and simple and a very minimalistic design, imperfections really do stand out. And this is one place where I think I do want things as straight as I can get them. And that's going to be almost it for my card. The last thing I almost forgot about, but conveniently, all of the splatter left me a little space at the bottom here where I can stamp out a sentiment. So thankfully, I've got a nice empty space right on top of that purple line. And I'm gonna stamp out, this is actually, I picked out a sentiment actually from, because I really wanted it to be small and just really unobtrusive, really. So I picked out a sentiment from Mini Messages. And oh, I got the word from Jamie that she is going to restock Mini Messages sometime next year. So if you've been waiting for it, definitely put your name on the wait list, and then that way you'll get an email when it gets restocked. Now, I didn't mention it, but I did initially cut down this watercolor panel to 4 inches by 5 1/4. That way, when I put it onto my card base, it still has a white border all the way around. Okay, next up is a recipe card. So I have a separate video sharing with you a recipe for how to create a some woven cards or a braided card. So I'm not going to actually show the technique of how I created the this sort of faux ribbon look, but I'll link to that in a separate video. That way this video can stay nice and short, but I will show you how I used the little braided panel that I created from that initial recipe card video. So I'm going to link to that video in the upper right hand corner. I've got an entire playlist of different recipes for different techniques. So the whole idea behind a recipe card is not to stress behind exact measurements, but rather wrap your head around a really basic technique and just wing it. Kind of, I like to say that it's a little bit like making a pot of chili. So you might follow a recipe the first time you do it, but afterwards it's you get the hang of it, you get the gist of it, and you really just make your chili based off of what you have in your house. And that's what I like to think of when I put together these recipe cards, that you can maybe follow the actual specifics of the recipe, but I like to have multiple different videos sharing different takes on that same recipe that are not super planned out, not measured at all, just something where it's really easy for you to just go with the flow and make some decisions on the fly without worrying too much about having to follow very exacting measurements. And a lot of times I find that that's really polar opposites to things like an interactive card or a pop-up card, where a lot of times you really need those to be very specific to the interaction and how things have to move and fit. Again, a lot of times with my interactive and my pop-up cards, because I understand the technique, it's a little bit easier for me to just wing those. But my recipe cards, I'm aiming to be really accessible to everybody. So do check that out. There'll be a whole playlist of different recipes. The one I'm following here is recipe number 6, and it's for how to create braided or woven patterns. So here I've created a little bit of a ribbon pattern, and it kind of zigzags to kind of look like you have a double-sided ribbon. So on the front side you have the hearts, and on the back side you have that blue faux glitter. These papers are from the Not Too Shabby Winter Love paper pad, and I'm gonna collage up some of the ephemera. You can see how generous the pack of ephemera is. Usually on a card, I sometimes only just use one piece of ephemera. I think most of the time, at most, I use 3. And so you can see how much craftability you have in the box of the month, because there's just a boatload of ephemera. And I've also taken one of the sentiments that is from my new Hedgehog Hugs card making kit. And in that card making kit, there's sentiments. One set of sentiments is has been designed to be cut with my universal die for the ultimate sentiments. And the other set of sentiments is actually designed to coordinate with Easy Wonder Die number 1 add-on. So you can use the dies in that set to cut out the larger sentiments. And it just depends if you're looking for like a nice little strip of sentiments or if you're looking for something a little bit larger. So again, from that ultimate sentiment die set, I've used one of the dies. In this case, I used a scallop die to cut a nice border or a nice mat. And I've used, because I'm layering this on top of so many different pieces, I used some 3D glue gel to give that some lift. Okay, so I'm spelling SPARC with a C instead of a K. So the C stands for case, which actually could stand for copy and share, which is probably what I'll be doing more often than not. But it can also be taken to stand for clean and simple. Today, I am actually going to case a card, so I'm going to copy and share a card that was originally posted to the Crafty Fun with Friends Facebook group. It was actually one of the cards that I showed in the Crafty Fun live episode where we case cards that are shared to my Facebook group. It wasn't the one that was chosen, but it was the one I wish people had chosen had voted on for us to case. So I'm gonna case it anyways because it was my wish that that it was selected. In the Not Too Shabby box of the month, there's always a little bit of a sampler pack of A2 card fronts. I do love my A2 card fronts, and this one is no different. So what I thought was really cool about the card that I'm casing, I'm going to leave a link to that in the description box below as well. It's from Marsha H. And I don't know if she used a card front or if she used pattern paper, but one of the things I really liked about it was that she basically cut up like a larger print, a larger design, and then she kind of tiled it back into a pattern that had a little bit of a frame all the way around. And I thought Easy Wonder Die number 3 would be perfect for that because the postage grid acts as that little bit of a frame. And then you can use the add-on die to cut very specifically into this larger scene and then just layer that right back onto the postage grid, which helps you to still appreciate the full scene, even though you've die cut into it. So I really like the effect of this because it's almost like how sometimes you see those triptych paintings where it's a full scene, but it's split into 3 panels. This reminds me of that a little bit. Instead of panels, we just have this sort of mosaic of postage grid, and I think it's a lot of fun. So big thank you to Marsha for inspiring this card that I'm casing in my first ever SPARC video. I'm gonna be looking for inspiration for cards to case from all over the socials. So whether that's the Crafty Fun with Friends Facebook group, I also have an Easy Wonder inspiration Facebook group. I have folks who have been a part of the Paper Escape, and they're in that Facebook group. I've seen lots of cards get shared. And of course on Instagram, on Facebook, various other crafty groups like the Not Too Shabby community group. There's so many different places to get inspiration from. And one of the things that I'm hoping to encourage with this new SPARC series is for you to look around you and see if you find something that inspires you to craft. And don't be afraid to copy and share somebody else's card. I think sometimes we can think that there's a little bit something untoward about doing that, but as long as you're giving them credit for where you got the inspiration and you mention them, which I think I would always feel it as an honor if anyone were to case my cards. So definitely tag me, because I would love to see how you've put your own twist on something that maybe I've made that inspired you to craft. And really, I think for at least for a lot of us content creators, that's really one of the reasons we like sharing our makes, is to share with you in the hopes that it might inspire you to craft, and maybe you'll put your own twist on something that we've made, and that just in turn inspires us. So here's a look at my final card. I really love these card front panels. This is just a way to maybe do something a little bit different with it, because more than just, gluing it onto a card base. All right, so here's a final look at my SPARC cards. This is my sketch card, which follows KCC 20 sketch number 3. This card features printables from my new line of printables, Easy Card Making Kit collections. This is an artsy card where I pulled out some of my chalk pastels, some of my Tim Holtz watercolors, and just had some fun doing something a little bit different. Here are 2 cards where I followed the recipe number 6, which has a separate tutorial for how to create braided or woven paper projects. And finally, my case card, where I've cased a card by Marsha H., which was originally shared in my Crafty Fun with Friends Facebook group. Thank you so much for checking out this first ever SPARC video. I hope to do more of these next year, and I'll leave links to the Not Too Shabby subscription, and all of the things that I mentioned earlier will be in the description box below. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.